It's a beautiful evening. Welcome to Atlantic Television Network. This is Sports Extraordinary, and of course, what a way to bring you the last show for the month of October 2024. Well, so today we have a lot for you, and on the show, the much anticipated, awaited confirmation of Ruben Amorim as Manchester United head coach could be announced, and so we expect to see that. And then we also have a recap of all that played out yesterday night in the Carabao Cup, result and preview of upcoming quarterfinal fixtures. So this will form the bulk of the conversation on the show today. My name is Ekpo Temple. We're going on a short break now. When we come back, I will open up who the guests are on the show, and of course we'll get started immediately. Don't go anywhere.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops cut off from food, clean drinking water and essential supplies. Health experts are warning of a potential outbreak of deadly diseases, and medical facilities are out of commission. The situation is dire. Helicopters, boats and high-riding trucks capable of navigating the treacherous, waterlogged areas are urgently required to reach the countless men, women and children still awaiting rescue. The Nigerian media is issuing a desperate plea to the government, humanitarian organizations, international actors and citizens across the nation. Step in now, before it's too late. For more information on how you can help, contact Professor Usman A. Tar, the Honorable Commissioner for Information and Internal Security, Borno State, on 0809-233-3955. Every second counts.
This is powered by Atlantic Television Network.
from the lines across the ocean to the land beyond the mountains, through the Sahara, we bring all the sport news, live analysis, expert discussions on trending stories in politics, business, socio-economic, sports, and documentaries. So catch all the updates on the happenings around the globe. Stay focused on the fact today, only on ATN.
The people of Maiduguri need your help. A catastrophic flood has engulfed the city, leaving over 1 million residents stranded and fighting for survival. Entire communities are submerged, with people trapped inside homes and on rooftops.
All right, welcome back from that break. If you're just joining us, this is Atlantic Television Network. Sports Extraordinary is the program. And of course, it's the last edition of the show in the month of October 2024. This evening, I have the pleasure of having Emmanuel Michael, a co-host in the studio, to join us in some of the conversation. Mike, it's a beautiful evening. Welcome to the show.
Thank you very much, Temple. Good evening to our viewers out there.
And also we have Mr. Ayodele Thomas. He is not just a football agent, he's a sports enthusiast, he's a sports analyst, and he's a lover of Nigerian football. Mr. Ayodele, good evening and welcome to the show. I do not know if you are in Lagos or in Korea. Good evening and welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much for having me. I'm in Lagos. I mean, it's been a wonderful time. I've been all around the world, but I'm back to Lagos now.
So lovely. The last time we spoke, you were in Korea, and I was just wondering how far. I mean, we look at the texture of activity there, sporting activity, and I said I'm going to ask you, what makes it viable? When you compare and contrast what, I mean, some of the countries you've been to, what are the things that you've learned, you think that we can do here, and why haven't we achieved such heights in sports generally?
Well, so just point of correction, I was in China, not in Korea.
Okay, China.
Yes, I was in China, yes, when we spoke. Well, you know, you have to look at the principles of what sport is trying to achieve. Most people look at sport as a social service. Some look at it as a social benefit, and some look at it as a business. I think Africans generally, or in Africa, we tend to look at sport as a social service where it's all about making people happy. It's all about trying to engage the citizens in a kind of viable activity to keep them healthy and happy. In fact, politicians in Africa tend to ride on the idea of providing sporting services. So the difference in Europe is that sport is strictly business. That's the difference. And until we start to treat sports as business, the better for Africa and the better for Nigeria.
Okay, we'll get back to that when we look at the thrust of our conversation this evening. But let me start with my colleague in the studio. It's about the basketball season in Nigeria. Rivers Supers not doing badly. We saw how they dispatched Lagos Legend this morning. And one thing very clear is, with the way they are going, I doubt if there will be any team that will stand as a stumbling block to their chances of picking another ticket to represent Nigeria in the forthcoming bar season, Mike.
I think it will be very difficult for any team to actually stop the surging Rivers Hoopers from picking another ticket for the Basketball African League. If you take a look at you know, their impressive feat so far in this season's Basketball Africa League, where they actually finished in the third position, did very well out there. Of course, Coach Ogo Daudu won the Coach of the Tournament. Coming back to start the season, the Nigerian Premier Basketball League out here, they've actually played 5 games, winning all 5 games. In fact, the game this morning by 10:30 a.m. against Lagos Legend proved to be a record-breaking game for them, because they actually amassed a total of 105 points, which has never been in their history, which for me was a massive one, a landmark victory for the Rivers Hoopers, the Kingsmen as they are popularly called. 105 against 46. That is, you are having about 59-point margin, which is massive. You know, so for me, it was a clinical display from Rivers Hoopers. And going by the unfolding event, I tell you, it will be very difficult for any team out there to stop you know, the surging fire of Rivers Hoopers. In their last game before this game of this morning against Ibom Comet, they actually rested some of their key, in fact, most of their key players were rested, yet they were able to deliver with a margin of about 46 points, because they had 96 against 50 points from Ibom Kome. That is about 46 point disparity. Even while playing their second fiddle players, and they were still able to deliver on the mandate. Going forward to this morning game, it was an imperious and clinical display, and with this form, it will be very, very difficult. The team I was even hoping, maybe what they call the Oluyole Warriors, I thought maybe they were going to give Rivers Hoopers
a long run after the out and everything.
Nothing to show for it, and for me, I think Rivers Hoopers, might likely pick another ticket to represent Nigeria in the coming bar.
Okay, and of course it starts from the Samuel Bumuye Stadium where they are right now. They need to qualify and be in the last four, and then hope for whatever happens in the Savannah Conference, and then that's in Jos. We see here that the Jos guys are not also taking things easy. They are also going unbeaten too, and so we're going to see how far all these play. But one thing very striking is that we want to see the best of the best, regardless of which state they are coming from, represent Nigeria. The last time Kwara Falcons did try to represent us at the continent of Africa in BAL, it was not a fantastic showing at all. It was more like, we're just trying to. It wasn't as if we are the giant of basketball in Africa.
It was a poor outing.
A very poor outing.
Very poor outing.
In fact, it was even last season's. I think that was this year. This season said that erased the dent of what Kwara Falcon did. When Rivers Supers went all the way out, at least got to the semi-finals before losing that particular one. Mr. Thomas, let me bring you in on this. I mean, I do not know how strong you follow basketball, but I'm sure you know what is happening in the basketball scene.
Yes, I do. And I think going through what my co-presenters just said about the Rivers Uppers, it's not the first time that they've been performing so high. And it's because, and the reason for that is because Rivers State generally has been very deliberate in how they treat basketball.
That's correct.
They've invested so much money in basketball, and they've always been at the top of basketball in Nigeria. So if you look at that kind of administration, sport is deliberate. You cannot, it's garbage in, garbage out. You can't talk about sport and talk about it as if you're doing people a favor. You have to deliberately invest in it. You have to invest in the players, and it involves spending a lot of money. And you must find a way to make that money. And that's why I keep saying that you can't treat sport as a social benefit or social service. It is business, and they're doing that business very well in Port Harcourt, River State.
I agree with you full time. I agree with you. It's something I spoke with the general manager of the side, Ife Osaka, and the commissioner on Friday last week, and they heralded what you just said. The intentional approach to the team is one thing, and the commissioner, I loved what he said. That he said clearly, go there and win. I've done on my part, Mike. Just go there and win. I've gotten you all the players you need. I pay your salaries. I don't owe the team. Go there and win, and I'm sure they are fulfilling the mandate.
Of course, they are fulfilling the mandate, and that is what you get when you have a good preparation, and of course you're having somebody who truly understands what it means to be at such level and to achieve results. He must sacrifice something, what is the commissioner of sport in the state talking about, Barrister Christopher Green. And of course, that he's outside being passionate about sport generally. I think that is his own area of discipline.
True.
Talking about basketball, and that is why it is no surprises how Barrister Christopher Green is pumping money into Rivers Hoopers to ensure that at least they continue to maintain that momentum. And if you take a look at their record over the past 5 years right now, over the past 5 seasons, they've been very dominant. When you talk about basketball, you can't mention one or two names without also mentioning the name of Rivers Hooper. This is because we have a sport commissioner who is basket loving. Aside of being, sports enthusiast, he just takes pleasure in basketball, and that is why he's doing and have done everything possible to acquire the needed or the required players that Rivers Hoopers need to excel. And of course, I'm not surprised by the positive result that they are getting.
Not surprised by the positive result. If you invest, you also reap from it. And that's the thrust of our conversation this evening. A lot of things, we'll talk about all the results played out in the Carabao Cup and in Syria are. But this evening, we are going to look at the benefits that Nigerians, hope to get from the new enclave, the new nomenclature, the National Sports Commission. Last week we saw that played out, and the reaction continues to trade the appointment of Shehu Diko as the new man at the helm of affairs of the National Sports Commission. And Mr. Thomas, I'm sure when you got this news, you had your own thoughts. I saw, what you wrote, and I saw your reaction, and I feel that a lot of persons are still wondering, how will this, how will this suit our sports enclave? How will this help the development of sports in Nigeria? Are we in the right track? So that's the big question, because I and my colleague will have some questions here for you, and we hope that maybe at the end of our discussion today, a lot of viewers would have been well educated, well informed, to know the approach to which we're headed to. If we're heading to the promised land, I'm sure that our conversation with you will open that door and open the knowledge henceforth. So let's start with your reaction first off.
Well, first of all, let me congratulate the Malam Diko as the newly elected the National Sports Commission chairman. I wish him all the best, and I can only say that God will guide him and help us, take us to the promised land that we all Nigerians desire. Saying that, I know that the tasks ahead are very, 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 very difficult. And when that news broke, I wrote a piece in all the sports platforms. It's very, very clear that we've taken a new dimension in terms of sports development. But Malam Shehu said something which I want us to look at critically today. He said it was going to move our sports from consumption to production. I mean, it sounds nice on paper when you make certain comments like you're going to take us from a country that always consumes to a country that always produces. But the question, the million-dollar question is, how are you going to do that? At the end of the day, do we even have the money as Nigerians to start producing? We can't even produce the petroleum that we have in abundance in Nigeria. How then do we produce sports? So is it about just rhetoric, or what exactly can it do to turn Nigeria from consumption to production, when the whole aspect of Nigeria, from all the industries, we've always been, we are the only country that spends more money buying foreign cars. We spend more money buying chewing sticks. We spend more money buying toothpaste. We spend more money buying tomato. We don't produce anything, and we have arable land all over the north, all over Nigeria. So how is Diko going to achieve that? I don't know, and I would like to know more. But from my own vantage point, I think if I would advise him, I would probably say, no need to invent the wheel. It has been done elsewhere. It was in UK, for example, Sports London started before the Olympics 2012. They were deliberate. They went back to the drawing board and said, okay, we're not going to think about winning. What do we want to do? Let's go to the grassroots. Let's start developing from bottom up. It was done in Germany, it was done in Spain. So I also shared a video of one of my visit to Poland, where I was sharing how Polish government are able to turn their sports business into a multi-billion dollar economy. So this, I don't know how much time we have, but I'll be able to at least break all of this down. But let me just let you know that I am optimistic, but I'm not very optimistic, because I don't know how one man, Manasseh Diko, can turn Nigeria from consumption to production.
And that's interesting. Now, I hope the MCR will just take us a little bit why I stick with you, because this is why we're here today. And I know my colleagues already have an outline of questions, tutorial of questions to throw you. Now, the reason is, a lot of times we've heard a lot. Shehu Diko is a good guy, no doubt. I take nothing for granted. We saw what he did last, when he was at the LMC, even if a lot of things, he was not convincing at some point. He was bereft of ideas, no disrespect to his personality, but at some point in the LMC, and we saw clearly the difference between his LMC and the LMC of Benga Legbeleye at some point. So that was very glaring. But you cannot dispute his professionalism. And because we know that politics has a strong role in the appointment of whosoever becomes the National Sports Commission chairman, because this is not the first time we've had it. At some point we had Dalong, we've had it before, now it was scrapped, but just like that. Do you think this is just a mere political appointment? Or you think that the cardinal interests of Nigeria should be at the heart of the president? Or you think that this is as a result of what played out at the Olympics?
Very good question. Just as you said, the NSC is not new to Nigerian nomenclature. We've had it before. Basically, what the government has done is that they've reclassified sports generally, and they've taken it out from the politicians and then given it to the professionals to run. Because the NLC is unlike the sports minister that is only there based on political affiliation. It is believed that someone in the National Sports Commission is a technocrat who understands the business of sports and will be able to change it. On paper, it looks good. On paper. So you're taking away sports from politics and putting it where it should be, which is amongst the technocrats. But the issue is not about Shehu Diko. Shehu Diko is just one man. The issue is that we need to re-engineer the entire ecosystem around sports. The issue is we need to change our mentality, this mentality that says that it must be winning at all costs. The issue is, how do we engage positively and create an environment where we can begin to produce real sportsmen, and not just this knee-jerk approach to attending competitions. For example, the World Cup is coming. You appoint a coach like 2 weeks to the tournament, and you tell the coach, yeah, go and assemble players, go and play the World Cup. No. So it goes beyond just the rhetorics. Yes, it's a good idea to take away the politics out of sports and put it in the hands of technocrats. But guess what? The technocrats are part and parcel of this same Nigeria. So all depends on who are the people that are going to be in the. So the question the question I probably want to ask is, who is going to supervise Diko? Is Diko going to have just the right to do what he wants, or there will be a board? And who are going to be in that board? So there's so many unanswered questions that would give someone like myself the confidence. So for example, if Diko decides I want to work together with all the people he has worked with in the past, the question I'm going to ask them is, those in the past have failed. There's no one that has worked with him in the past that has taken us to Eldorado. They've all failed. So where are the new team of Diko going to come from? That's the issue.
Right.
That's my point here.
Yeah. Okay. My colleague is here, and of course, I'm sure, Mike. I'm sure you listen to him, and a lot of thoughts already ringing in your head.
Yeah, a lot of questions bubbling through my mind. Mr. Thomas, beyond the rhetorics and the semantics of revitalizing the sport sector, according to the 3-point agenda by Mr. Shehu Diko. Taking a look at the dilapidated sporting infrastructures in the nation, that most of them have gone to comatose. Do you think that under Shehu Diko as the chairman of the National Sport Commission, we can revitalize or bring back that top-notch sporting infrastructure that we used to see in the past under his regime?
Okay, so that is still the point that I am also trying to find out what is actually the budget of NSC, because infrastructural development are basically the function of the states, federal, and local governments. So let me break it down here. In UK, the council provides social amenities. Part of those amenities are stadiums, healthcare, play area, good road, good water, and electricity. It is not the job of the NSC, National Sports Commission, to provide this infrastructure, because the NLC does not have that kind of budget to be able to provide infrastructure across all the geopolitical zones, across all the 36 states of Nigeria. It doesn't have that kind of budget. So the government cannot say, yes, we've created NLC, so Diko, please go and provide infrastructure. No. The government would have to be deliberate in saying, we want to build stadiums in all the zones in Nigeria. We want to build stadiums in all the 36 states in Nigeria. We want to ensure that we have good amenities for our sportsmen to train. We want to provide them with training funds both on and off season, because these are things that can turn you into a productive and not a consumption country. So if the government just thinks that it's just going to appoint an NSC's chairman and say, okay, Shehu Diko, this is your position, we are going to win the magic wand and Nigeria will turn to a production country, it's never going to happen. The states have to get involved, the federal has to get involved, local government has to get involved, especially in all local government, all local centers. There must be training facilities, like you said, basketball, badminton, swimming, football. So Diko is not just for football. Diko was known as someone that tried to transform football. Diko has never done anything with basketball players, nothing to do with people who are playing badminton, karate, all of these sports that makes up the entire sporting system in Nigeria. Diko is just one person who is known for what he has done in football. How about the rest of the sports? So it needs what will make Diko succeed are two things. One, the team around him. He needs to get experts around all the sporting areas in Nigeria. And then the government needs to give him absolute support and provide the enabling infrastructure for him to try. Otherwise, it's just that we've taken one step forward and 10 steps backward. That's not going to happen.
Mike, before you continue, so that he can, as a link up to what he just said now,
okay.
The issue of who supervises Diko is another, pending matter that we need to discuss. Because a lot of people gloss over this.
True.
In the ministerial council, in the executive council of Mr. President, we have the ministers, who come to present their issues personally. Diko, in the constitution, there is no ground, there's no legal ground for Diko to come in as a minister, because he's not a minister. He's a chairman of a commission.
True.
So the question is, like you mentioned, and that also I'm sure you are also wondering too, or you've said it already, who will Diko report to? How will this dream of Mr. President, who wants to achieve glorious height in sports, materialize? Because I believe if I have a personal issue, I come to you directly, and it's only the ministerial council that gives that avenue. So who will he report to, and at what point will that report transcend to strides that are realistic? That's where a lot of us are asking. Or will that be a separate, like we've seen before, a separate, a leeway for him to attend ministerial meetings, executive meetings? How will this work? That's what we're asking.
Okay, so part of the comments I made when Diko was appointed was I said what President Tinubu has done is that he has actually demoted sports and from what I would consider to be headline charge into second level charge, because as NSC chairman you are not at the level of ministerial appointment that the constitution recognizes. So when there's a ministry, it's in the constitution. So there is these are headline charges that must go to every ministry. So even that you are supposed to present budget, and part of your budget is a national issue that every ministry must be funded. But a sports commission does not have that kind of constitutional backing to be able to say we want our money now. It's at the mercy of the presidency. If he wants to release money to you and how much they want to release to you. The constitution does not protect you as the NSC chairman. So legally, I think it's a demotion of the role of sport in Nigeria. But technically, it could be good for Nigeria because now you have technocrats running sports other than politicians running sports. That's number one. Then number two is if you look at the appointment, the first person that the most senior official that Diko has been visiting and speaking with is the SSG to the president. Not even the president. It's not going to be confirmed by the Senate. So it's a junior role in this whole dimension. So I believe that he will be reporting to the SSG, who in turn, whatever needs and requests will be passed to the table of the president. Now the question is, how would he treat those requests as urgent as other requests that are meant to be first line charge? So what this appointment has done, it has taken sport out of the first line charge and has taken it to maybe the second or the third or even the last charge, because it all depends on the president's feelings towards sports. It depends on whoever is at the top of the chairman, what is their opinion about sports. But as a minister, you are supposed to sit at the executive council and present your case and then get an approval. But as a chairman, you don't have that kind of opportunity to sit with the president and tell the president what you want. You have to go through third party. And the question is, when there's a distortion in the system, that distortion can actually create a lot of bureaucracy that will affect sports in general.
You've actually dissected the whole issue because it's very, very complicated, but at least you've beamed your torchlight to it now so that at least our viewers can get a first-hand knowledge of what these things is all about. But moving on, Mr. Shehu Diko is an astute sport administrator, right from 2004 till date. What do you think he can do in order to bring his wealth of experience so as to carry the private sectors along in terms of sport development, because we can't do away with the private sectors?
Well, I don't know what you mean by what can it do. Can you please repeat the question, please?
As an astute sport administrator that Mr. Shehu Diko is, what do you think he can do in order to lure or attract the private sectors into sport development in the nation?
Okay. Well, generally, last minister before our minister
Sanitary.
Yeah.
Dari, there was a reclassification of sports as business. So, which means the whole idea is to get more private people to invest in to invest in football, yeah, and in sport generally. That's the whole idea of the classification of sports from being the social provider to being business. Now, how can the NLC involve more private participation?
That is the question.
It's very simple. Sorry for telling me this. What I think needs to be done basically is that Shehu needs to call for a stakeholders meeting. Number one, get all the private entities that have been involved in sports from day one together, sell his vision to them, and then present what are the focus and try to convince them into becoming part of the sport ecosystem. Because for a businessman, for example, I am a sport entrepreneur, so I invest a lot in sports, but only in football. So I've helped several people, I've donated money here and there, I've helped to nurture players, I've sold players as an agent, so I've done all of that as a private person. Now, if I have someone like Shehu Diko coming to me and saying, AY, based on your experience, what do you think we should do to generate more resources and revenue? Then I know that my inputs, my ideas are needed and I can help. But if Diko decides that he wants to work with his circle of influence that he has been working with in the past and don't involve stakeholders and have a meeting to sell his ideas, we are going to be in the same boat that we are now. Nothing is going to change. It's just jump for the boys.
So invariably, you think that the way forward is, first off, call a town hall meeting of stakeholders, have let him bring forth his ideas, like the cardinal point he has talked about, and then take it from there. Unfortunately, like you predicted, Amaju Melvin Pinnick has expressed that he is the head of that association. I mean, he's trying to prove that Shehu Diko is the man, and that because they have done well for Nigerian football, that set of people, Shehu Awumi, the former NFF president, NFF vice president, that all of them can still make things happen at that level. So it looks like it is still going to be circled around the people that have worked with Shehu Diko. But we cannot predict the future. Maybe your advice will just be, if he follows, I'm sure he's listening, he will watch this and maybe take it from there. But I'm just saying that Melvin Pinnick and some things that because they pushed the name to Mr. President, they also have the caucus. The caucus can still make things happen in sports. Just maybe, I'm just thinking. I'm not saying this, I'm just thinking.
You know, President Tulu was sold on the merit of what he achieved in Lagos. And we have seen now that Lagos is not Nigeria. You know, most people think that because they've worked in NFF or because they've been president of NFF or they've worked with FIFA and they know it all. No, they don't. You see, some of us who are out of the system actually do more privately than most of them who are in the system do. But the bottom line is that you cannot, I'm not saying that it should leave any man, out. And I'm not saying you should bring every man in. But I'm saying the starting point really is to have an objective conversation about what he himself, the man at the end, what he wants to achieve. And in that discussion, it cannot leave anyone out. It needs to ensure that it gets into the system as many people that it can find that would help to shape his ideas. Because if you narrow your ideas to only those who have been running our football before, My brother, can I ask you a question? Why are our people going to play in Iraq, Libya, Sudan, Cotonou, if our football is so good in Nigeria? I have players who are playing as far back as Cambodia and have a league here. So this league that we have here, no disrespect, Elegbele has done a fantastic job, but it is still not a league that most Nigerians players want to play in. Algeria, Libya, that almost killed all our players, they have a better league than we do. They pay more money to players than we do. There was once I told somebody during our discussion online, I said, any club that cannot pay a footballer in the NPFL ₦1 million net has no business playing in the NPFL. What's $1 million now? What's $1 million naira now? $1 million naira now, with the current with our current exchange rate, is under about $500. $500. That's and not a single player in like maybe one or two are earning $1 million. Most players in our MPFL are earning 230, 300 or 350, maximum 500. That's how much in dollars. To about maybe $200. How can you be playing football? That is a very short career. You probably have maybe 10, 15 years of your life playing football. After that, nothing else will fall into. So how do you even encourage people who are in this game to even want to play for Nigeria? Because there is no avenue to develop. The system is so bad that the Nigerians would rather go and play in Sudan and earn $1,000 or $2,000 than play in Nigeria, a war-torn country. So now, so tell me, so all these people who are saying that they are the super power in Nigeria, where are they when Nigerians are going to play in Sudan? Where are they? What have they done with our own national league? I mean, the taste is in the eating, Abi.
Exactly.
We cannot play it.
Well, I'm sure we're going to focus on football whenever you are free again, because from what I saw the Super Falcons did a few days ago and the chat we had, I think that that gives me an insight to talk about. And also, they just concluded Wafu B competition under 12, under 17. We had the guys Flying Eagles rather. They won against Ghana. I think that there is need to look at why the decline in age grade football and what can be done to meet up to the demand of time. I mean, that's one area I think that our next conversation will, align with more of how to develop Nigerian football. Unfortunately, time is not our friend again today, but Mr. Ewa, I think we appreciate your presence on today's edition of the show.
Thank you very much for having me one more time.
Thank you so much. It's been a wonderful time with Mr. Ewa Ayodele Thomas, giving us all the insightful analysis as it regards the National Sports Commission. Mike, I'm sure all this that we've discussed with Mr. Ewa, if followed strictly, we can have a viable sporting activities. Maybe not now. We don't expect to repeat now, but just maybe it's a gradual process.
Definitely, and of course he has painstakingly balkanized the whole issue, break in pieces and tear to shreds some of the key matters that affect the sports development as it has to do with Nigeria, and with Shehu Diko at the helm of affair as the Generalissimo, who is coming right now to change the narrative. Let's hope that he's able to get that result, but then it's a whole lot of limitation. If you listen to what AY said, if not that time wasn't our friend, there's so many issues we need to focus, but then I think let's just keep our fingers crossed, hoping that indeed all the 3-point agenda that he has outlined, talking about Shehu Diko, is going to meet up with those 3-point agenda, so that at least our sport can have a headway.
Of course, our sport can have a headway. Before we wrap up, yesterday we saw some Career FA Cup results, and for the first time in decades, we're not going to see any second-tier team into the quarterfinals of the EFL, like the Carabao Cup. Because yesterday we saw Liverpool have qualified, Aston Villa have been hosted out by Crystal Palace, Manchester United have qualified courtesy of Leicester, that 5-2 win over Leicester City. Newcastle United also hosted out at Chelsea, and Arsenal are through, Tottenham are through, Manchester City out. So in the quarterfinal, Mike, time is not our friend. We now know that some of the big names have already ruled themselves out. So Liverpool, Arsenal, Tottenham do have a strong advantage of winning this particular one. And for the first time in a very long while, no second-tier team will be in the EFL this time.
Yeah, and that is what you get when the jungle matures. And as it is right now, maybe Liverpool and Arsenal they are in poor position rather for this very one.
Okay, but finger crossed on that particular one. But hopefully, we'll come again, and Mr. Ayo will join us again whenever he's free some other time to look at other trending issues that bother some Nigerian football. It's been a wonderful time doing this with Mike here in the studio, and Mr. AY, who joins us from Lagos. My name is Ekpo Temple. Do have a lovely evening. Bye-bye.